with James. It's week 2 and this week we're going to be focusing on our balance. Now if you're watching this video you are in P6 and P7 and I want to reassure you that we don't need any equipment this week. All we need is a little bit of space around us. So just like last week, if you need to make a little bit of space, maybe ask your parent or guardian to help you move things to the side, over here, back there, whatever it is you need to do. It will be also good for you to have a little drink of water too. So if you haven't got your water, feel free to get, I'm still spelling like last week. I've got my water there. So we're going to be working on balance, but we're going to start with a warm-up and then move into a circuit the same as what we did last week. It probably won't be as high intensity in the lungs, but it might be a lot more hard work throughout the whole muscles and especially through your core, because it's your core that helps you stay balanced. I know we might balance on our hands or our legs, but it's our core that helps us stay balanced. So we're going to work that area mostly today. But we need our hands and legs to do it. So we're going to need to do a full warm-up covering all areas of the body. So first, you can, if you're ready, you've got your space around you and your water. I'm just going to come right down into a deep squat, just like I did last week. And I'm going to use my hands to push my legs slightly to the side. And we're just going to hold here for a little second. From here, I'm actually going to ask you to extend a leg out. And then we're going to try and touch our toes on this side. Before putting our hands back in the middle, bring that leg back in, extend this leg out, straight leg, toes up, touch those toes. Do the same on both sides again. So straight leg, you might find it easier on one leg. I certainly find it easier on this leg to straighten out and then swap and stretch on this side. Okay, from here, come down onto your hands and knees. And I'm going to go and make my big sort of triangle shape in the downward dog position. So, I'm going to lift up onto toes. Going to push my hands backwards, trying to get my heels down as close to the floor as possible. And then this is part of the warm-up where we're going to start balancing. So, I'm going to balance on one leg. I'm going to swap and balance on the other leg. Swap again. Balance on this leg and balance on this leg. Okay, now we're going to come down, back down right onto hands and knees, trying to make sure you get the best angle to see. So from this position, I'm going to have my knees nice and wide open. I'm touching my feet at the back of the body. I'm going to press or slide my hands far away from my knees and drop my chest and armpits down towards the floor. I'm trying to keep the bottom section of my arm, that's called your forearm, off the floor. I'm having a nice stretch here. Before, lastly, I'm going to come up onto my fingertips and balance on them. Still trying to move my chest and my armpits down to the floor. Okay, come out of that one because it's a tough one. And just like last week, we're again going to do a little stretch on the floor. So we can all come down into this shape here. What we're going to do is a little bit of a move called a back extension. So I'm going to have my hands with a triangle at the front. I've got a triangle between my arms as well. So this is all a triangle between my chest and arms. And I'm just going to lift and push my back up. So this time I'm balancing mainly on my hands and down again. And we can make this a little bit harder if you want. So I'm going to move my hands back behind my body, and now it's like I'm being flown out of a rocket. I'm going to lift up. I'm lifting my toes, hands, shoulders off the ground, and I'm balancing on my tummy. And let that one go. Okay, back up onto your hands and knees. We need to warm up your wrists. Now, if you're wearing a watch or something, I know I'm wearing a watch, but I need to keep a track of the time. So if you're wearing a watch, I would suggest that you take it off in this workout. It will help you. So on my hands and knees, I'll go sideways so you can see. On my hands and knees, and we're going to do some leaning onto our wrists with different shapes because we're going to use our hands quite a bit today. So what I need you to do is to hold onto your stomach. You see my back went up the way, so my back isn't underneath, my stomach's not underneath my body. I'm holding onto my stomach and making a big high shape with my back. I'm just going to hold that little shape. They call this a cat pose in yoga, if I'm not mistaken. So it looks like a cat when it's getting all defensive. And I'm just going to keep holding onto my stomach, but not make as much of a high shape. I'm still not letting my back do this. I'm going to hold onto my stomach. Hands flat on the ground. And we're going to lean forwards, forwards, forwards onto those wrists. Really far forwards. And then come back. We're going to do that again. Lean forwards, forwards, forwards. Still holding our stomachs. And come back. And there's one more of these. I'm going to show it from the front first, just so you can see the hand position. So with my hands are facing forwards. I'm now going to rotate them all the way around, so they're now facing backwards. Okay, if you can order that. I'm going to face sideways so you can see which direction I'm going to move in. So hands are rotated backwards so that the inside of your elbow is pointing forwards. So this time my knees are closer to my hands. I'm still going to hold on to my stomach. I'm not sitting here holding on. But this time I'm going to lean backwards and try keep my hands pressed into the floor. And this is a big stretch up the front of your arm, which is called your forearm. And let it go, and then come back again. And we'll let that one go because it can get a little bit nippy. Now the next one more of these wrist ones, we're going to do this side of your arm. So what I need you to do this time, this might be awkward, especially Mrs. Calvert, Mrs. McIndoe, you might find this more challenging. So we're going to put our body weight onto the top of our wrist. So I'm now resting on top of my wrist. Now take your time with this one because it can be a little bit awkward to get into. But again, I'm going to lean backwards. So the stretch this time is down the front of the forearm, at the top of it. Elbows twisted and sit back. Okay, we're only going to do that one once because it's a little bit tricky. Last of all, into our lunge shape. This is going to be nice and long, my knees touching the floor. I'm going to point the front knee forwards into a big stretch. So we're feeling the stretch all the way down here. And if you want, I can get hold of, whoa, no I can't. Get hold of the back of my leg too. Oh, I lose my balance. Get hold of the back of my leg too and pull a stretch down the front of the leg again. I find that one very difficult. So hopefully if you've got some young gymnasts, you'll find it easier. We'll swap on the side. And we're going to have my knees touching the floor, just here. I'm pointing the front knee forwards as I lean into a stretch, but I'm keeping my upper body up, chest and everything up. And again, I'm going to try and get hold of my ankle without falling. Oh, it's tough. And stretch down this side. So if I twist around, you'll see better. I'm stretching up that leg. This is one of the hardest ones for me to get into. And I'm going to stretch here. It can look a lot better than that. I have to work on that one massively. Hopefully you guys can do that one well. Okay, now we're going to our circuit. So the first exercise we're going to do, we're actually going to close our eyes the whole way through. Now you'll be like, what? So what I mean by this in the first exercise, we're going to stand on one leg with a knee raised. From there, we'll close our eyes. Now you have to trust me on this. No sneak peeking in case Mrs. Calvert or Mrs. McIndoe falls over. You're going to keep your eyes closed. Now, we will do this for 35 seconds on one leg and then move into the next exercise. So it's very similar to what we did last week. Okay, I've got my timer on the go. You're going to see it be yellow first, then green for our exercises and blue for our rest. Okay? So 5, 4, 3, everybody on your right leg. Lift your left leg up and close your eyes. Now it doesn't matter if you fall or if you wobble, you just put your foot down, regain your balance or even open your eyes, regain your balance and close your eyes again. And then once you get up there and you can get balanced with your arms maybe outstretched, you can feel your standing foot working really hard, trying to keep itself upright. But if you need to at any point, you just drop your foot down, recapture your balance, open your eyes and then close them again. 3, 2, 1. Okay, very good. Now, we're balanced on our foot, we're going to balance on our hands. So we're going to do a side plank here, up on our hand. This is one of the more challenging ones. So all I'm going to ask you to do is find this shape. That's all we're going to do now. Some of you might find it easier to do this on your knees with a hand up. Some of you might want to do this shape. I'm going to do it on my feet with a hand up here. And all we're doing is holding this shape and then swapping, sorry, whilst you see my back, onto the next one. And every few seconds, just swapping over that shape, side to side, from side plank to side plank. And it doesn't matter if you fall, you can always do it on your knees. If you're a bit more wobbly, you can do the same thing on your knees. 3, 2, 1. Okay, we've done the balance on the right leg. We're now going to do the balance on the left leg. So it's the same thing. We're going to elevate one leg up to sort of 90 degrees away from the body. And we're going to have our hands out. We're going to capture our balance. When you hear the beeps, we're going to close our eyes. Okay? Like I said, it doesn't matter if you want to just recapture your balance at any point. Leg out, hands ready, eyes closed. As soon as I closed my eyes, I had a little wobble. So I'm going to stay a bit quieter and just let you focus on this one. Something that I do when I'm doing these ones is picture how the world looks in front of me. So whatever I was looking at beforehand, I can still see it through my eyelids. I'm imagining what I can see. 2, 1. Oh, well done, well done. Okay, now we're doing tabletop. So this is going to be on our hands and knees, this exercise. And what we're going to do is alternate. Oh, I'm a bit too close to the equipment, I had to change direction. We're going to alternate extending arms and legs, swap and swap. You can see my foot at the back there getting its height up, okay? So that's all we're going to do is Superman and swap, Superman and swap. I like it saying Superman because it does kind of look like how Superman flies. What I'm going to ask you to do is to point your fingers and point your toes, trying to create the straightest line from your toes to your fingers. Keep your head just looking at the floor. I know I'm looking up so I can see what I'm doing. But you just keep looking at the floor and squeeze the whole body tight each time you're at the top of the movement. Okay, we're halfway through the first go. Okay, one leg squats. So we've done a bit on one leg. We're now going to go back on one leg. So we're going to do a one leg squat, and there's two versions. At first, you can maybe start with your foot just behind you. And what this is called assisted one leg squat, because your back leg is assisting. You're going to squat on the front leg and stand up. If you're feeling more confident, lift the foot and squat, swap legs and squat. So it's up to you whether or not you want that back foot just giving you a little bit of support at the back, just touching the floor, but you keep your body weight on top of the front leg. Like I said, this is balance-based strength we're building. Very good for the dancers, the footballers, the basketball players, everyone. Just swapping legs each time, and there's our time off. Ooh, star plank. This is a hard one. I'd maybe say adults, if you're participating at home, or teachers, be careful, you might fall flat on your face. Just don't go beyond your limits. Adults, kids, don't have to worry with. So what we're going to do, we're going to take a normal plank on our hands, and then we're going to move hands out, and feet out. So everything is balanced, and then bring them back. All we're going to do is swap, hands, feet. It's called a star plank because you make a star shape. Hands back in, feet back in. Just going to keep alternating, changing our center of balance whilst holding up our body weight. Nice and steady and controlled. Oop, I'm kicking the toys at the back. Hold. Okay, good. We're going to go back onto sort of a supported one leg exercise. This one is called a Cossack squat. Now, Cossack dancing is some Russian thing. I don't even fully remember what it is, but basically it's going to involve us dropping down on one leg whilst pointing the other to the sky and coming back to the middle. You'll hear the timer in just a second. So squatting on one leg and pointing the other toes up. You can keep the leg that's squatting flat, or you can lift up onto your toes if it's easier, but this one always points to the sky. And we're just swapping legs. This is a really good stretch for your hamstrings. So what I want you to do is to get as low to the ground as possible each time. And we'll do it slightly different on the second round. Nice. And up. Point those toes. Lift these heels if you want to. And now we're on to the last one in the first round. That was fast. So this is a boat pose. We might see some capsizing, if you pardon the boat pun. But what I'm going to actually, you can do this in a few ways. You can do this with your hands down and lift your feet up and just balance. If you want it harder than that, hands up and feet up. And if you want it harder than that, toes up, hands up. So you find the one that works for you. You can either be here, leaning back, using your hands for a bit of support, and you're not likely to fall over. You can come all the way up, hands and feet. And the last one, if you fancy it, right at the end, toes up, hands pointing, everything pointing and the holding tight. No capsizing. We don't want any sinking ships. Time's going to go shortly. I hope. Hold it, hold it. 2, 1. Oh wow, well done. That was the first round. Okay, I'm warm. You might want to have a little dab at the forehead like me. Whew. So if you can have a little drink of water, we're going to go back through all of those in just a second. So what I'm going to try and do on a few of them is give you some harder ways of doing it. So if you think that was fine, that was easy, okay, I can give you a few more. If it wasn't easy, if it was just the right work amount for you, then just do exactly the same. I'll give you the right instructions. Okay, I've had a breath, had some water. We're going to go into the second round of this, okay? So I'm going to reset this timer and, paused it. We're starting off in the blind balance on your right leg. So standing, knee up, eyes closed. And what this exercise is really good for is helping improve the brain signals. So signals from your brain to your muscles, when you close your eyes, it makes them stronger. So this is good for your coordination and reaction time when you're playing sports like basketball, football, badminton, all these different things, dancing even. Keep balancing. If a teacher falls, please don't laugh. Keep going, well done. Very good. Okay, what was next? The side plank. Okay, this is just going to be the same as before. We want to have the most control possible when we're holding our side position, but I've got a harder one up my sleeve in case you want to try it. So we're going to lift up into the position we were just in before. You can be on your knees or on your feet, it doesn't matter. So up. I'll just do a few normal ones first. So we're just swapping each time, change our position of balance. Now if you want a harder version, you can lift this leg. It is tough, but give it a try. So up and lift. Well, I'm not as good lifting on one side compared to the other. Same goes if you're on your knees. You can lift and then swap. Just to make it that little bit harder. If you can't quite balance on your hands yet, you can balance on your knees and lift. Well done. Okay, we're balancing on our legs again. Whew. It's a warm one, this one. Okay, I'm getting ready to balance on my left. My hands are out in front of me just in case I need to fall or change. I can see everything around me, and before I close my eyes, I'm going to take like a mental photograph of what's in front of me, and that's what I'm going to look at, think about when I close my eyes. So for me, I'm still looking at the door in front of me. Whoa! Oh, I had to reset my balance, open and close. I'm glad I didn't fall. I'm sure it would have been funny for everyone. You can probably feel your toes and your feet do most of the work, especially if you haven't got trainers on, to keep this position of balance. 2, 1, well done. Okay, tabletop pose, very good. Which way am I going to point? I'll point this way. Okay, so this is the alternating Superman pose position. I need to try and get all of my body into the shot. You have 10 seconds of rest. Now there is a harder one of these, which I'll show you once we get started. But everyone starts on hands and knees first. So it's 1, then swapping to the other. Now if you do want a harder one to try, come up into a plank shape and then try lift. And swap. And swap. But if you're happy, just on hands and knees, just stay on hands and knees. I'm sure Mrs. Calvert can do the harder one of this one. Last few seconds. Nice and strong bodies. Okay, full left, big breaths. Goes to one leg squats. So these are the ones where you can possibly have a leg behind you if you want it, just to give you that extra bit of support. But you're making sure your body weight is all over the front leg. The last leg is, it's just kind of hanging around, just taking a bit of weight off, or just giving you a bit of support if you're going to fall. Okay, so it's 1 and swap. Or you can do it without the leg at the back, just the same. Just swapping your legs each time. But if you want a harder one, so we've always got a harder one, you can jump into a hop. Same on this leg. Jump into a hop. It's a very tough one. Jump. But it's very good for the sprinters if you're quick, to make you quicker at running too. Okay, star planks. Whew. Nearly there, finished on these ones. Okay, so last time we just did the walking version. There is a harder one if you fancy it, but it's very explosive, so only try it if you're sure and you're feeling very confident and strong. So we're here in our plank first. We'll start off hands, hands, feet, feet, hands, hands, feet, feet. Now the harder one can be jumping between them, but it's very hard going hands, hands, feet, feet. But you try the one that feels good for you. And we're nearly finished this one, 10 seconds left. Always working hard to hold your balance. Okay, 2 left. Very warm in this playroom today. There's no James Jr., he's staying at Granny's, so there's no one to distract us this week. He wasn't sent away because of that. Okay, Cossack squat, wide feet. We're going to have wide feet, go down on one side, point the toes on the other. And nice and controlled. We'll do it slightly differently this time. So I'm going down, but I'm going to ask you to stay low as you swap onto the other side. Stay really low, really controlled as you swap your feet around, staying as low as possible. My hands are at the front just in case I fall. I'm staying as low to the ground as possible. It's a bit more cavemen hanging around the fire, this one. Swapping nice and slow and controlled. There's a timer, last one. Okay, we can have a little sit and a little rest before we do the boat pose. Hopefully no one capsized on the first round. You are more tired on round 2, so you might fall, but don't worry, just sit back up and have a go. So remember, there are 3 versions to have a try. If you did an easier one, whichever one you did last time, if you didn't do the full one, try and do the hard, try and go one up this time. So if you were here last time, try and be here this time. And if you were here last time, try and be here this time. So you've got a few versions to play around with. But all the time trying to keep your body up, keep the legs up too, and stay balanced. Last one of this circuit. Staying nice and balanced. I'm just switching between the two. There we go. Well done, well done. Now, before we have a cool down, I wanted to set some homework or a challenge for Mrs. Calvert to have a look at throughout the rest of your PE lessons this week. So, because we're doing balancing, I wanted to give the P6 and P7 probably one of the hardest balance moves that I kind of teach people from the first time I work with them. So we're going to do a frog stand. Now last week we were doing this sort of frog shape and we were walking forwards just as part of our warm-up. Whereas this week we're actually going to try and balance on our hands. So I'm going to show it from the side first. So I'm going down into my squat, nice and low. My hands are going to be placed on the ground, just like when we were doing that stretch over our wrists earlier. So what I'm going to do with my body weight is come up onto my toes, leaning over, and I'm going to try and lift my toes off the ground, staying balanced on my hands. And whilst I'm doing that balancing, I'm really tensing my chest, tummy muscles, everything staying really tight to keep my legs off the ground. I'll show you again one more time. So down into a deep squat position, hands flat on the ground. You're going to lean over the top. Now if you couldn't get both feet off the ground the first time, don't worry. This time just try, lift one foot, stay balanced, put it back, lift the other foot, stay balanced, put it back. Or if you're ready, you just lean your head forward. As you put your head down, your feet will come up. It's just gravity, just kind of getting a balance. And come back. So don't worry if you can't do that the first time of asking. Have a little go with it over time. Right, quickly, let's do some stretches just to cool down. So we're going to a lunge stretch. Just sitting in this lunge and we're going to lean forwards. And we'll take some deep breaths because we need a chance to breathe after that. Okay, so big breath in and out. In and out. We're going to swap legs. Do the same again. So knee down, point forward, body stays up. And we're going to breathe in and out. Breathe in and out. Okay, we're going to go into that child's pose one, which we did before. So knees wide, toes touching at the back. Walking ourselves down to a stretch here. We're going to take some deep breaths down here. Breathe in and breathe out. Breathe in and breathe out. Breathe in and breathe out. Last little stretch we'll do here is just stand right in the middle, hands together. You'll see my hands. Oh no, you can see them this week. Push them up into the sky and lean up in this way and lean again. Lean again. And last lean. Okay, that's me into as much work as I can do for you guys today. You can see it was a warm one for me. Hopefully it was okay for you. Make sure you're going to have plenty of drinks of water after this. That was balance week. Okay, so you did lots of balancing on your hands and on your feet, using pretty much every part of your body, and we finished it off with a little circuit. So hopefully that was beneficial. Your homework there, the frog stand, please don't panic if you can't do it straight away. Take your time and have a practice at it this week. You can just lift one leg, lift the other leg, and take your time. And maybe after a week or so of trying, you'll be able to show how well you've done. So well done, everybody. I hope you enjoyed the rest of your PE lessons this week, and I'll see you again next week. But don't forget, take your time with all of these exercises. You will always get better at them by trying. So if there's anything today that you couldn't do, just try it again, and you'll get better at them. Have a nice week, everyone.